So now that we've looked at fractions and decimals, the next thing to learn about is percentages. And percent just means out of 100. Out of 100. Because cent means 100. We've seen cent before in words like century, which means 100 years, and centimetre, which means 1/100th of a metre, if we split a metre up into 100 parts. So percentages are similar to fractions, and they're a way of measuring a certain number out of a total. And they're really common. We see them in everyday life, particularly when we're shopping. We see things like 25% off if there's a discount, or if you hear that the population of a city is increasing by 30% in the next 10 years. All of these numbers are telling us a certain number out of 100. And let's look at an example of how we can understand percentages. So here is a big pie chart comparing the number of people in Australia that buy iPhones, Apple phones, compared to Android phones, and the other types of phones too, like Nokia's and Windows Phone. So here we can see 44% of Australians buy iPhones and 55% buy Androids. Only 1% of people buy any other brand. And the reason we use percent here is because in Australia there are 4.8 million phones sold every year, and it's too hard to write a fraction out of 4.8 million. So then we'd have a fraction for Apple and a fraction for Android. So instead of writing a big fraction, we prefer to use a percentage, because then we can just imagine out of every 100 people, this many people buy an iPhone. So for Apple, it's 44% of people who buy iPhones, which means 44 out of 100 people, or 44 out of 100. For Android, we had 55%. percent 55%. So for Android, out of 100 random people, 55 will be buying an Android phone, any of the Android brands. So 55 out of 100. And that means there's only 1% left over, which is all the other brands. %, so only one person out of 100 people buys a different brand of phone.